Hey loves, it's Britt, and in this video I'm talking about the aspect Sun square Mars in your natal chart. So if you have your Sun square to your Mars in your natal chart. So this aspect is very intense. These people are very hot-headed or hot-blooded. They react very quickly to situations that they perceive as challenges, and they can perceive challenges everywhere, and they do kind of have like a warrior attitude, like maybe in a past life they fought in a war, or they definitely don't um shy away from a good argument or a fight unless there's other things going on that nullify this. Like if Saturn is involved, you can actually see this person seemingly not having the characteristics of this aspect, but it still shows up as a more internal tension. So when our sun, which is our ego, it's where we're going in life, it's kind of like a big part of our purpose along with the North Node. And it's also how we feel confidence, what we want to be seen for. It's like our light in our natal chart is squaring with Mars, which is the planet of our sexual energy, aggressiveness, anger, how we go after what we want in a more direct way. So when these are in conflict, we can find that our actions go against our purpose. So this is something that I feel like is not often talked about. It's so often talked about with the square about the anger and the hot-headedness and the aggressiveness, which I actually have this aspect in my natal chart, and it's at a 5-degree orb though, but that's still definitely countable for the sun. But I don't I don't feel like I'm aggressive. But in fixed signs too, it can be a little bit different. But what the conflict really shows is that the way that you act, Mars, is in a conflict with what you want and what you want your legacy to be, your purpose, like your sun, what brings you confidence. So you can actually find that your actions work against you with this square. Or, especially females with this aspect too, women could find that the man that they're sexually attracted to, as shown by Mars, the man that, really turns them on, is not the man that they want to be their husband, or is not the man that, feels safe to commit to. Um, and even men with this aspect too, it's not so much going to show up as conflict with women, but they're generally very aggressive, forward, very overtly sexual. And same with women with this aspect too. We can see a very on the surface sexual energy that is actually very attractive. These people have like a sexiness, like kind of an aura that is very primitive or sexual, and it's like people can feel off their energy that they have a high sex drive, and they definitely do, but it's in like the manifestation of it where there can be some issues where they can find themselves in situations sexually that maybe they got there because of lust or aggressiveness, and it can end up hindering their purpose in life, or it can end up being an obstacle to who they really want to be at the sun level. So it's like the actions they could take as far as their sexuality goes can hinder their progress with their goals in life, and even like how they're seen. Like this isn't so much, I mean, unless the 10th house is involved, it but they can definitely like be involved in like a scandalous sort of public affair or something like that. And it is kind of a more selfish aspect where we don't realize how selfish we're being. We don't realize that other people don't put themselves first like we do with this aspect. And that can actually be a really good thing. Like a level of healthy selfishness is of course good for manifestation and achieving goals, which you can actually see with this square a lot of achievement, because the tension of the square shows a level of frustration that we actually get more done than people with the easier aspects. But it's just the way we do things, the way we get things done, it's maybe causing problems. Sometimes people, especially with cardinal energy in a square like this, are going to step on other people's toes, or be very overtly aggressive, or really, like, there's not anything like underhanded about this aspect, though. It's like they don't mean to be selfish or brash, or like this isn't a Pluto square. Like, we're not like deliberately trying to hurt people, but we do hurt people because of our selfish actions and our quick, reactive, impulsive behavior. So, as time goes on and the person matures more into their sun sign, they will be able to rein in that Mars energy and allow it to, stop going crazy all the time. Stop, all these unnecessary fights or arguments, or stop all this internal tension that's causing them to be inflamed and heated in the body, causing even potentially health problems. They do say with this aspect, heart problems are something that could happen. But it's like when they can learn how to tone, it's not like you want to shut off Mars, but you want to learn to like rein it in. Like, you've got the horse and you're reining it in, and you're like, okay, we're not going to act on this sexual conquest, or we're not going to, in order to get to this goal, run over everybody and be a total asshole about it. Like, we're gonna do this. You almost have to learn to bring in more Venus energy with this aspect, because it's like with Mars aspects, especially Mars in square or conjunction or opposition, we can really lack like the social ability, the refinement. Like, there's like a need for grace, and Venus is like the antidote for this aspect. So, if you have a strong Venus, that's going to be really helpful, because yeah, with this aspect, it's like we're selfish, we're motivated by our own selfish desires and ego, very much so, because we do feel in a sense kind of inadequate, because our sun wants something completely different from how we go about getting it with our Mars. So it causes us to act on the offensive at times, or very much just in a very explosive way. And those actions that we take from an impulsive place, or from this like flare up of like egotism, or like a need to prove ourselves, or prove that we're good, or prove that we're successful, or whatever, those actions don't tend to make us look good, or they don't tend to actually provide the desired result that we're seeking. So it does take a lot of learning with this aspect. And one thing about this aspect is you don't give up. It's like trial and error, trial and error, trial and error. And you're not gonna feel like a failure. You're not gonna back down, even if you do continue to fail. But what this aspect needs is, like I said, Venus, but you also need more internal focus. This is a very much externally motivated person, focusing on external action, Mars, and external achievement, Sun. Now, with a little bit of like meditation and like calming down the body, like that reactiveness, toning it down, then we can come to clarity, and our actions can actually be extremely powerful, because we do have a high physical energy and stamina with this aspect. The health, if we're not flaring up all the time with anger, can actually be quite good. And if we keep the body exercising and physically strong, because this is one of the gifts of Sun Mars aspects of all kinds, actually, except probably the in conjunct, but the body is very physically strong, and it like it wants to be healthy, but you have to burn off the Mars energy through workout, or some like sweating, detoxing. Like this, it's like two things that with Mars afflictions that you need is like meditation and calming down from the mind level, but then you also do need like that high level of like extreme sport and like action, and like really strengthening the physical body. So with those two things, you can really make the most out of this aspect. It is a great aspect for achieving lots in life. Yes, you may start things and not finish them. You may fail because of your actions not being adequate for the situation, or being too aggressive, or not being able to balance those energies, but you'll keep trying and you'll keep going because you're so motivated and you're so high energy, and you are just so here to live life and experience things. So yeah, you definitely have like a fighting spirit, and you'll never give up with this aspect. And so with the understanding of astrology, and that you have this, it can just make your life so much better, because you'll realize that sometimes you are acting selfishly without realizing it, and sometimes you are putting your own needs at the expense of others, or maybe sometimes your sexual energy is not in alignment with the kind of life that you really want. And so it takes practice, it takes effort, and just conscious awareness to be able to balance this square. But it does end up, I think, becoming a pretty positive energy, because the energy is just so high. So another thing that it can show is issues with the father being angry, the father being aggressive. Women with this aspect should be aware that sometimes the men that they're attracted to are very Mars like. And you have to look at the signs of Mars and Sun to see the kind of energy that's in conflict here, but just something to be aware of, that they can be attracted to volatile individuals themselves, whereas men with this aspect have a more likelihood to express it overtly, whereas women have a more likelihood to project it onto men. So you could watch this video and see all the men that you've had a relationship with have these qualities, and that would be projecting it. So yeah, just something to be aware of. Relationships can be difficult with people with this aspect, and if you're still blaming the other person for that, it does help to look within it, like, well, maybe how am I not being the best partner, or like just self-reflection is something that's really good with this aspect, because you're so busy like conquering the world that sometimes you miss that maybe some of the issues of your relationships would be helped by doing some work on yourself too. And I mean that in the most lovingest way. Anyways, yeah, I'd love to know your experience of this aspect. If you have it in your natal chart, how has it been for you? And yeah, let me know in the comments. And thank you so much for your requests. Keep them coming in the comments, you guys. And we'll talk soon. Okay.